keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so no-go, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursue.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. Once again with your host, Nick Bernabe, here on UCY.TV. Thank you all for tuning in and welcome back. We're going to be going over all kinds of stuff tonight. We have an anti-media party in the house with Mr. Jake Anderson joining us in the studio. What's up, Jake?
Nothing much, Nick. Happy to be here. Quick shout out to my parents in the mountains of Albuquerque. I know you guys are listening, and we're not going to be supporting CNN or Hillary Clinton tonight, but I hope you still keep listening. I love you.
Hey, speak for yourself, man.
Yeah, well, I know you don't love my parents yet.
Because I'm not, I'm not supporting Hillary Clinton for presidency, but I'm supporting her for war crimes. You know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah.
Send her off to The Hague and let's do it right, you know, and, you know, anyway, that's where I stand on the whole Hillary topic. We're also joined in studio tonight by our awesome journalist, Claire Bernish. How are you doing tonight, Claire?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. We had a pretty interesting event here at the Anti-Media office today, to say the least.
Most certainly.
We were up here working upstairs in the office, and we were, you know, listening to music and, you know, having a good time while working and writing and editing and. You know, Jake was
me and Jaime were doing yoga downstairs.
Yeah, people were doing yoga and stuff here in the studio, and then all of a sudden you see the street blocked off, a bunch of firemen and a bunch of cops outside, and then we go out there.
Block.
Yeah, and the whole block is blocked off. We go outside, and what appears to be some kind of drone out there burning up in the street, and it's like, what the hell is that? What the hell is going on? You know what I mean? It's insane. I mean, why is there a drone flying around right in front of our office and crashing in the street right there? I mean,
is that really a question?
So to summarize, what very likely was a surveillance drone.
We don't know for sure yet, but that's what it seemed like.
There's been some argument on if it's actually a drone or not, but honestly, considering what was seen on the street and the way the cops reacted, people had said from the photos that it was a remote-controlled airplane of some sort. But honestly, for any remote-controlled plane, are they really going to block off the entire block and call people and pick up pieces and examine them? I mean, if it was a remote-controlled plane, wouldn't they just clear off the street and go about business?
One guy said it was just a giant paper airplane, which seems improbable to me. I don't know.
Yeah, right, for Halloween.
I'm pretty sure that guy was really drunk.
There was another guy downstairs that thought it was a drug transport plane because there was a bunch of white powder behind it, and
he was out there trying to snort shit off.
Yeah, he was out there with a little broom trying to scoop up the white powder, right in front of the cops too. And he's like, "Yeah, man. Well, if this is coke and you guys aren't going to clean it up, you know, I'm going to take this shit home with me."
He said, "quote unquote, I'm going to get high off it one way or another," and I thought that was a
powerful statement.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It really was. No, seriously though, it was not coke. It was fire retardant from the fire department that sprayed it because there was a battery fire when this thing crashed right in front of our office.
Well, and you can't forget the 2 Apache helicopters flying directly above about half an hour later.
Oh, it was a bird. There was bird feathers in it, so it's very likely that some kind of drone crashed into a bird and then fell, diminishing the device's capabilities of spying on the anti-media studio.
What if it was a giant bird drone that hit a giant paper airplane?
I thought about that. A genetically modified bird.
There's also the possibility that this was one of those patriotic freedom eagles that was like, you know what, I'm tired of this surveillance shit, and the eagle went and took out the drone, because there's actually video of that online. I've seen a video where an eagle took out a drone. You know, and I went up and I looked at the feathers that are on. They're still laying there on the street, mixed with battery acid and asphalt.
There's
not even joking.
There's
about
electronic roadkill on the ground out there.
Yeah,
there are some very questionable things. I mean, the asphalt was burnt, and it wasn't just like it was charred. It was like the asphalt had kind of dissolved, and there were holes in the asphalt. I mean, it was a little strange for what appeared to be
and weirdly, Joe Biden was out there wandering around too. It was just.
I thought I saw Bernie.
Yeah, no. Joe Biden was trying to use it as an excuse to push the Patriot Act 2.0, and you know, because we all know Joe Biden was the architect of the original Patriot Act long before 9/11.
Yes, he was.
But that's a whole other topic, because you know, politics aren't a trending topic right now. We're not going to talk about politics tonight.
DB, do you get drones out there in Minnesota, man?
That's great. Politics.
Yeah, I mean, over here we have drones that look like clouds, bro.
So we're joined by our longtime co-host DB Schwarz on the call. What's up, DB?
Hey, man, it just started snowing for the first time this season, so we're getting it early already.
Yeah, I heard there was a big storm out there. I know it passed through the Rockies, and maybe it made its way up towards you. Maybe remnants of that huge tornado that blowed through Mexico last week. And
Hurricane.
Man, yeah, sorry, not tornado, hurricane. Man, that hurricane was ridiculous, though. It was like off the charts. Literally, it was larger than a Category 5, and it was just like, damn.
The thing that's crazy about it too is that tornadoes, the strongest tornadoes have winds of 200 miles an hour. For a hurricane to have a sustained winds of 200 miles an hour is like a constant tornado. So I mean, that was insane.
Yeah, man, it really was. It was just. Luckily, I'm really glad that, according to the official statements, nobody even died in Mexico. And that's amazing. I mean, that's
Kind of a miracle.
Last year, one it was either last year or the year before. One around that same size, slightly weaker actually, went through Philippines and really destroyed the place. And I think there's like 10,000 missing when it went through there, you know. And so thankfully it didn't hurt Mexico as bad, but a lot of it has to do with the geography.
Well, dude, who are all the contractors
I think we're
in
missing a real
SoCal?
serious issue here, which is not natural disasters. It's that there's a GOP debate going on right now, you know? and I think that's really what the nation needs to focus on.
Exactly, and you know that's exactly why we have Manny Aguilar on the line tonight, because I know he loves the Republicans.
Yeah,
right, Manny?
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. I was happy about that missing Acapulco, obviously, because that's one of the things that I'm doing. But we had a little laugh up here with my crew today because the top story, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I tell everybody I'm listening to your radio show, and then you guys become the news. But he said, Manny, you put everybody in perspective up there. Okay, you got the gangster D.B. Schwarz coming. Okay, so everybody knows he's coming. You got Jake coming in, you know, all funny. You got badass Sister Claire coming. I mean, the badass with, you know, anti-media as far as the goddesses are concerned, you know. And, you know, it's just amazing. And then you got Nick B, you know, I mean, all these gangsters, you know, and just, so of course that's why the cops were putting surveillance on you and stuff like that. And of course, the only person that kind of keeps a little bit low profile is LeBron, you know, but she's also an activist and stuff like that. But the thing that made me laugh is one of the Bernabe sisters on my crew said, "Oh, with Claire and Jake, there goes their white privilege." And I just cracked up, you know. I said, these people have been hanging around Manny too damn long, you know. I said, they've been hanging around me too damn long. You know, they crack jokes, because I don't take myself serious. I let my people, you know. But it's just, but another thing that one of the brothers said over here, our Mocha brother says, "Well, it's a good thing you were visiting Nick. You know, Nick, they might have had Lamita over there." So I just cracked up, you know.
Manny, my favorite band's name is called White Privilege, dude. I'm all about it, man.
that's one of the other possibilities is that the drone may have been a border patrol drone because there's a bunch of those out there, man. They got drones flying over the border, all the time. So that's another possibility. The drone that crashed out front may have been a border patrol drone. We don't know yet.
There is no such thing as coincidence. I'm sorry, but we're sitting here at the Animedia Studios. We're publishing stuff that obviously the media, the mainstream, exactly. The mainstream media does not want to publish, or they cannot publish, and we do that, and we give, the truth about the matter, and suddenly a drone crashes less than 50 feet away from the front door. This is not a coincidence.
It's very, very odd, but I'm not worried too much about it. I'm not scared. I'm not going to censor myself.
We're being monitored.
So it's not a big deal. But we have another special guest tonight. We have Bobby Rodrigo with us. And he has an awesome radio show called I Take Liberty with My Coffee. And he also does a bunch of other work with the Solutions Institute, and he was formerly part of People Against the NDAA and all kinds of other awesome projects. He also runs he's also on the board of the Coffee Party. Bobby, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, man. You just giving up all my slut stuff, man. I'm just an activist slut. That's just what I do. I'm great.
Bobby, long time no here, bro. I
know, man. How's it go? You got a plethora of wonderful people on the call, and drones. And you know what? If you're not being monitored, you're not doing your damn job. So
good.
Just the fact that they missed you with the drone, just feel honored.
The best part is that now, where the drone crashed, it just looks like roadkill.
It really does, and there's bird feathers in there. It hit a bird. It's like a futuristic roadkill, is what it is, basically. Except
not.
Except it's in the present.
Yeah, it's a dystopian roadkill, and it's really odd. But enough of the drone, man. As Jake mentioned, we got this GOP debate, and I didn't watch it. None of us here watch it. In fact, we're boycotting these debates.
We made an executive decision to boycott
until you don't have to pay to watch this shit. Like what, Bobby? What do you think of this, man? Like,
it's
why do we
not
have to pay
even the election year yet. We're not even in the election year. All this is about the media making money, mainstream media making money. They're taking up as much as that $10 billion that this election is gonna produce, and they just want to stretch out our election cycle as far as possible. This is ridiculous. They're not talking about anything. No one's talking about issues.
Until these debates address REI's Black Friday sale, I just don't care. REI is paying their employees to go outside on Black Friday, and until the debates address that, I'm just not interested,
Well, as long as you have your priorities straight, we now know what
and
we
I
need
most certainly
to do. Very important. Yeah. The debates are a joke. The debates are a joke. Come on.
They are.
Bobby, so I know a lot of people are kind of wondering about the coffee party and what it's all about, because even I don't know too much about it. What is it all about?
Well, it was created 5 years ago as a response to Citizens United. The purpose of the coffee party was to battle money in politics, essentially, to battle the oligarchy. It also was to battle the rhetoric that was coming out and the polarization that was coming out of politics after the creation of the Tea Party. Now, it's not an opposite of the Tea Party because we're not party affiliated and we don't endorse anybody. But what was going on when the Tea Party was created, especially when it was co-opted, was it polarized everything. It was hate speech constantly. That was pretty much the next buildup of the starting point of the next buildup of hate speech, at least in my view. And the coffee party is based upon talking to each other, listening to each other to try and give a voice to everybody so we can fix what's going on, particularly money in politics. We're about justice. We're about equal rights. We're about, one vote for everybody and access, no police brutality, no police misconduct, the long list. And we want to give a voice. And we also, one of our other platforms is be the media, for the same reason why anti-media exists, is because the mainstream media has abandoned us and has for quite a long time. I've been an activist for a while. I'm a little bit older than most of the people in this call, just a little. And I've been active for a long time as well. And the media has that's one of the reasons why, because the media has pretty much abandoned society, and instead of reporting what's happening, they're trying to tell us how to think, and they've been doing it for quite some time. And it's I don't watch any media anymore. All I got to do is look and see what's trending on Facebook, and I know which Kardashian is pregnant, or
Hey,
whatever that is.
Getting on drugs and hooking up with prostitutes actually saved his marriage.
Thank God. I was so worried.
Yeah, that's important. That hey, I used to own strip clubs, as everybody knows. Sex and drugs and rock and roll, baby. I mean, hey, let's.
Hey, Bobby, I have a question for you. And then, first of all, it's great to be talking to you, man.
Always great to spend some time with you, Nick. Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And Coffee Party has been around for a little while, right?
5 years.
5 years. What would you say the top, if you were to prioritize the top 3 issues that are most important to the Coffee Party? What would you characterize those as?
Money in politics is absolutely number one.
So to harken back, this is Citizens United.
Yeah, I mean, the corporate personhood and money being speech is absolutely.
You just
paramount.
sold me, man. I'm part of your movement now, man.
Well, you got to go to the page and like it. You got to like my page. I take liberty with my coffee. How come I invite you and you don't fucking respond? I don't understand that. What's up with that?
I do.
I'm on. Hey,
I respond. I listen.
Next show on a Tuesday or a Thursday, count me in.
Well, we have Coffee Party Radio is on 7 days a week, but it's a different show each day. I mean, Issa Hodge, for example. He has Tuesday night. He's on Coffee Party Radio. A Muslim and a Catholic wake up in America.
That's an amazing concept too, man. To show.
Oh, totally. And Issa's great. Common Cal is great. Loki's great. And they're all about liberty and all about exposing the truth. And Issa has a long history in dealing with the media, like we do. And it's absolutely great. So and they spin it. They got some satire on it, and the show's a little different. Not as serious sometimes, but very serious others. And it's on for 2 hours on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm on at 10 a.m. Sunday for 2 hours, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I moved, and I did this partially for people like you, Nick, and for the West Coast. I moved to 10 instead of being on at 8:30 because, everybody's complaining. I don't want to go on your show at 5:30 in the morning.
That's really early for us out here on the West Coast, man.
Yeah.
But a leisurely 10:30, smoke a bowl, and then maybe have some falafel.
Well, speaking of smoking a bowl, on Friday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Coffee Party Radio presents A Cup of Joe, which is the Human Solution International with Shauna Banda, all about repealing prohibition. You all know I'm not about prohibition.
Oh, Shauna.
And we also just created, and I talked to you about this, Nick, the United Coalition of Cannabis Activists. And there's another Facebook page you all need to go to.
She has an incredible story, too.
So would the drug war be in the top 3? You listed one. What are the other 2 top priorities of the coffee?
The voting rights probably is definitely, if it's not in the top 3, it's in the top 5. Equal rights and justice certainly is in the top 2 or 3.
That's pretty vague. Like, can you break that down to what exactly?
Well, from the standpoint of equal rights, it's everything: marriage equality. Women's rights.
Like it?
Yeah, I mean it's. I guess the voting rights and the equal rights are kind of tied together. Certainly gerrymandering sucks. Any kind of voting restrictions, any kind of regulation regarding that sucks.
Maybe the redistricting.
Redistricting sucks. Certainly I think we should vote for a month. I mean, if they can have an election cycle for 2 years, then why can't we just vote for a month?
Or, hey, I've seen a lot of people say that voting, the day that the vote goes, it should be a holiday. That people don't have to go to work that day.
I mean, that's a no-brainer as well. That's a no-brainer as well. But when you think about it, if they're going to be able to do this crap for 2 years and we got to put up with it, why can't we vote for a month? What is the problem?
Well, I have a question for you. What do you think about mandatory voting like there is in, some countries?
I don't like mandatory anything.
I don't either, but I'm serious.
And
The idea of getting the vote out there, getting people.
Well, getting the vote out there would be a lot easier if we had somebody to vote on. There's no candidate for me.
I agree with you.
I think
I have no candidate. You can throw them all at me. The closest thing I have to a candidate is Jill Stein, probably.
That's
And that's not. And I am not. I mean, Nick knows from my work with the Free and Equal. I am not the party guy. I'm anti-party all the way.
Hell yeah.
Without a doubt.
Vote for nobody.
Completely corrupt. Every party is just absurd.
My problem with nobody is that if nobody's in the room that activates the nuclear weapons, it's easier for people to sneak in and to activate the nuclear weapons. So nobody as a incorporeal presence doesn't have the ability to veto the nuclear discharge. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're advocating D's nuts then, because D's nuts could actually stop that.
I would vote for D's nuts, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt.
D's nuts,
I just,
it's a very
there's nobody there.
It's a very interesting concept with D's nuts, because Jake actually wrote an interesting article about it, because it is actually pretty. It's actually pretty important to see a protest candidate, as ridiculous as it sounds. The ridiculous concept of having a guy named D's nuts running for president. It's like that's just dumb. But
it's a culture jam.
But exactly, it actually shows something there that people are willing to support that, because at a point in time, D's nuts, now if you look at all the polls, they've dropped him out of the polls because they realize, oh shit, this is actually a dangerous prospect.
Right.
He hasn't.
Imagine that.
Again,
but polls suck.
He was outpolling most of these candidates.
It's a crucial political kind of parody, satire, and truth event all at once. I mean, it says everything we need to know about what it is that we vote for and what happens after we vote for it.
Exactly. Have you guys and Lady ever been called on a poll?
No.
Yes, a million times.
I actually haven't.
You have a landline?
On a poll?
I have a million times. It's over and over and over. I was actually
You've been living in like swing states forever, right? Like
I was living in Ohio. I was living.
That's a swing state.
In Ohio for 30 years.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. But
you had a landline.
I've never been polled once. How about you, Jake?
You had a landline. See, that's the thing. They're not polling anybody between 18 and 35 because nobody's got a landline.
No, but if they poll you, like in Ohio, when they poll you, what they do is they start with these very neutral questions about the election, about the candidates, and then as soon as they hear your actual opinion, if it's anything besides what they want to hear, they hang up on you.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. Over and over.
I got a robocall from Chipotle once. That was weird.
I support Chipotle. I don't know what the hell y'all talking about.
Whether I wanted a bowl or a wrap, it was just like disconcerting, dude.
Yeah, but it's non-GMO, so it's okay. They would just.
I always go with the blunt wrap over the bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I go with bong.
I said, "Do you put antibiotics in your chicken?" That's my.
I live in Georgia. Can we drop the marijuana discussions, please? I'm trying to stay out of jail.
I say, do you put Nestle water in your bong, or
Oh boy.
Oh hell no! We need some spring water. Damn it.
So luck with that.
Bobby, on the topic of the media no longer, obviously the politicians don't represent us anymore, but now people are realizing it. Congress has had like a 9% approval rating for a long time. Herpes is a bit more popular than Congress.
And we reelected them. See, okay, before you ask the question, just think about this for a minute. In the House, forget the Senate for a minute, but there's 535 people and 100 minus 100 is 435 people in the House. Okay, 9% rating. Last midterm election, they told us, the media told us, that there were only 35 of those seats at risk at 9%. Okay, at risk of either changing party or somebody else being elected. And they put the same people back in per the rigging and the money. So just thought I'd point that out. Make you feel good. These nuts.
These nuts all the way 2016.
So, I think America's already figured out that politicians don't represent us. They still vote for these assholes anyways. That's kind of sad. But You also mentioned earlier about the media, and part of the Coffee Party platform is becoming the media. Today we found out, actually the article was published yesterday, but today we found out we had come under attack by one of the largest newspapers in the country, along with our good friends at Mint Press News. I'm sure you know Minar.
I know Minar very well, yes.
And
Zero
Zero Hedge, which, sometimes they're questionable. Shadowproof, which is formerly Fire Dog Lake. They're one of our new partners. They're amazing. Media Roots, which is run by Abby Martin. I'm sure most people are aware.
Right.
Countercurrent,
another great colleague, right?
Yeah, and Countercurrent News, a very strong police brutality, police accountability outlet,
Right.
and several others came directly under attack on the Star Tribune.
By name.
Yeah, by name yesterday, and I found out about it today. And they're basically saying that we are more or less on the payroll of Bashar al-Assad. And that we, they're basically saying like, hey, these guys are like working with the Russians, the Iranians, and the Syrian government to, spread propaganda. And
apparently we're quote unquote news.
Yeah. And, really what it came down to, they've referenced several headlines and stuff, but what it came down to was that the author of the article was upset that we are unequivocally opposed to U.S. intervention overseas. And even though the media is telling us that, Assad is this evil dictator, we've never disputed that. We've never said that Assad is a good guy. We've never once praised Assad. In fact, in my last article regarding the Syrian crisis, I refer to Assad as a brutal dictator because that's what he is. But at the same time, we don't advocate U.S. intervention in these foreign civil wars and these foreign conflicts overseas, which in the end, and as we've documented very in-depth on the anti-media, especially recently, this whole situation is at least partially a side effect of U.S. policy, especially the overthrowing of Saddam Hussein, which led to the vacuum which created ISIS, which is basically responsible for a lot of the huge issues going on in that region. And we've documented that. But this mainstream media outlet published an article last night, basically going after us for being against U.S. intervention, and apparently because we're against that, we are under the payroll of Assad. What do you think this means, man? Does it mean that it's working? Does it mean that like the alternative media is actually starting to play a role in this conversation with foreign policy, or what do you make of this?
I think it means a couple of different things. First of all, it certainly means that they're trying to dissuade people from paying attention because they look up the world rankings in the media site, the world rankings of our internet sites, and they see traction. I mean, the Coffee Party reaches 24 million news feeds a week. Now, they could be the same 24 million or 24 different million or the same 24 million times. Who knows? But we reached this particular week. We reached 24 million news feeds a week. So they are paying attention to a degree. Our internet, which of course is now under attack due to CISA again, is keeping us able to communicate. I mean, you guys, we're communicating right now. We're talking about this. But did you happen to see? You mentioned Abby Martin, for example, and one of the things that should scare the crap out of everybody was her Empire Files episode 2 Fridays ago that talked about it was everybody thought it was about socialism being like communism, who really didn't pay attention to it. And I wrote an article about it, and I showed the video because I was telling everybody, if you like Bernie Sanders and you like socialism, you should be pissed off at this video. And the reason is because it shows American history at how our government has dealt with dissent in the last 100 years, starting with Wilson and stuff. And that's what caught and that's what Abby was telling everybody, is here, people who were unions, people who were like socialism, and that's not what we're talking about. Whether you like it or not is irrelevant. It's about the dissent. and what happened with how Woodrow Wilson did, J. Edgar Hoover, McCarthyism, all the way through the Civil Rights era. They talked about how there are people in prison today who did nothing other than voice dissent. They don't have any other crime on their dossier other than being part of a movement that was voicing dissent. And that should scare the crap out of everybody. Every time you look at American history, and in so many different ways, including the way you talked about the Middle East, it should get everybody's attention as to why we need to be united and we need to have open access to each other. I'm sure everybody saw Homeland Security and the Department of Justice tell us all that they are now turning away from ISIS being an issue internally in the United States, and they're focusing on anti-government groups. And, of course, the left was the first ones to jump on board, being, of course, they love their anointed president, and they say, oh, they're going to go after the right-wing militia guys and the extremists, and I'm thinking, really? And you don't think that they got Black Lives Matter on that list when they talk about the police brutality? Or you and I, when we talk about how bad our government is behaving in the Middle East or inside our borders, or when we talk about, you mentioned the NDAA and my work with them, when we scream about how unconstitutional that law is, that they're not pointing at us being anti-government, that's exactly what they're doing. Well, so everybody needs to pay attention to this and keep us all together and communicated, and we just keep needing to educate. My generation is the one that screwed this up or let this get this bad or whatever. The younger generation is the one that needs to be shown what's happening by these alternatives so they can fix this crap and stop these guys from doing this and get 2 million of the 2.5 million people out of jail. That would be nice. So.
I think that people forget, because there are so many distractions and so many realities going on, I think that people forget what broke up Occupy Wall Street. And what it was a corporate government union, and there were planned spying, and they were viewed as terrorists and such like that. The activist movement today has kind of grown out of the Occupy movement, and the Occupy movement is still alive and everything, but this whole corporate government marriage is continuing officially. If you look at the website, I forget the name right now, it escapes me, but there is an official government institution for which the government and corporations monitor what activists do. I mean, they literally go in and they infiltrate activist movements, and they keep tabs on us and they watch us.
But they do it for our freedom, though, don't they?
Of course they do.
Oh, okay.
No, what they
protecting our freedom. Protecting our freedom.
Are actually a threat, and I think that people kind of, we see the government, we see what they're doing, and people feel overwhelmed. What they don't realize is that alternative media and activists and these movements are actually making a difference, and that is why the government is cracking down and spying more assertively, because they realize that we actually are a threat. We actually are doing it right.
They're feeling the heat, they're feeling the stress, and the pressure has been applied. And Bobby, I just have one more question for you, which would be, a lot of people in our circle here talk about solutions. They want solutions, because we're pointing out. I mean, I think solutions is a secondary debate after education, which is, I think, a point you made, which is that's the most important thing right now is education. But in terms of solutions, what are you looking at in terms of approaching the next 20 years of activism? What do you think are some of actionable solutions that we can really be looking at on a realistic level? And I'm going to throw maybe education about encryption and keeping your shit private online. I'm just going to throw that out there, but I really want to hear your opinion on this.
Well, the first thing, well, not the first thing, but one of the things we have to do is we have to get people into office that really works for us. We have to, out of all of our activist groups, we have to formulate a plan to get people into Congress, etc., to combat what is happening. And that's as much as anything. And to separate money. I joined the Coffee Party years ago because of the Citizens United thing. But what Citizens United did was open the front door. We already had it coming through the back door with lobbying. We've had it for a very long time. Yes. The movie Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, if you watch that movie,
yep,
where he's in front of Congress talking, that really happened. If you look on YouTube, you can look up Howard Hughes. That's exactly what he did. He said, "Listen, you guys made the rules. I'm just following it." So when I give these corporate guys, these military officers, because I'm trying to get the contract, when I give them prostitutes and put them up in hotels and take them to dinner, you're the ones who says I can do that. And this is the kind of stuff that's been going on for a very long time. And if we don't split that up, then all we're going to be doing is banging our heads for a long time. We also need to make sure that we don't believe. Now, I totally get what the Occupy movement did, but as I was talking about what Abby showed us, there has been dissent in this country for a long time. And this is the first time that we have a way to communicate with others around the world instantly and share information instantly. So one of the solutions I have is that we make sure that we never allow them to stop that, and we keep the information going over more and more and more, just like we're all doing.
So net neutrality, protection.
Net neutrality is a little complicated, but yes, essentially the theory is net neutrality, but from a liberty perspective, in my mind, because I don't want a government is controlling net neutrality. You have all those sides of it. I don't want anybody controlling it. I want it to be free.
Yeah, it's ostensible neutrality.
Yeah.
It's like the
right,
experience
exactly.
of neutrality.
Whoever the FCC wants to give net neutrality to, they do.
Pick your battles, dude.
Exactly.
You don't want corporations having a fast track on information online.
So Bobby, I mean, on this topic of internet freedom, dude, the CISA thing, which is basically CISPA, like what, 4.0 now. This is like their first time trying to get around to this thing. And,
steroids and meth.
We were joking about the debates earlier, but earlier today I made a post that was a bit satirical on my own personal page, and it's like, hey, there's finally bipartisanship in Washington. It's like, the rare times that we have this bipartisanship, unfortunately, it's for CISA. Unfortunately, it's to undermine all of our rights and stuff, and that's one aspect of it. And finally, the government can work together on something, and normally it's on the empire, and it's like, yeah, let's all go ahead and okay the invasion of Iraq and stuff. I mean, I can't even. You could probably count on one hand how many Congress people were against that. But
God, we were called unpatriotic.
Yeah,
and I was against it from day one. I was against the Patriot Act from day one.
Hell yeah!
You're not a patriot. You're not a patriot.
The thing that really scared the hell out of me about CISA, not only is it bipartisan, but there's language within this bill that gives these corporations immunity.
That's right.
If they share information with the government,
that's right,
they gain immunity.
Horrifying.
Okay, let me propose this. We have CISA with this immunity for corporations. Mm-hmm. We also have the TPP coming up, which seems an inevitable future for our country, where corporate tribunals will determine, where localities and individuals can be held responsible for the thought of future profits for these corporations. Tell me where this does go right in the future.
Well, I'll add to that. You were talking about bipartisanship. I'll add to the fact that the first time the Patriot Act came up to vote in the Senate, the vote was 99-1. The first time the indefinite detention provision of the NDAA came up in the Senate, the vote was 93-7. So yeah, that when it comes to taking shit from us and violating our rights, and violating our constitutional protections, they're all about it constantly. To talk about your TPP concerns, which are major, and isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing
TPP
how apathetic we are to the TPP in our country? Is it not drive you crazy? Because you guys report about it all the time. So do I. We report about it all the time.
40% of the global GDP will be beholden to the TPP.
No, we lose
now,
our
if
minds
you,
on TPP. I wake up having nightmares about TPP, and,
I do
and
too.
sometimes it's just lack of toilet paper. But
But I mean, you have to consider that we are literally taking Malaysia, who, basically excuses human trafficking, sex trafficking, child sex trafficking. I mean, any
Slavery.
imaginable, all of
Malaysia
this.
still practices slavery. Let's not even
they want access to Portland. That's what they're doing. They want access to Portland because of the slave
Exactly.
child sex traffic in Portland. They
militarily-
want to get access to it, obviously. So.
It's just that we are willing to basically excuse all these things where, Malaysia had the opportunity to change its ways 2 or 3 years in a row and failed at that. And that's why they got downgraded to tier 3 on the human rights scale. And suddenly we're like, oh, well, but it's okay because the TPP is coming, so we'll just upgrade you and pretend none of that exists.
And that's exactly what happened. Instead of saying, okay, look, we're not going to include Malaysia in our TPP deal and this awesome economic deal that they keep telling us, they keep telling us that's what it is. Malaysia is like this horrible human rights abuser. They literally allow slavery to be practiced in that country. And instead of saying, okay, we're going to exclude them, we say, okay, well, let's just change our standards a little bit and make it excusable for a country to practice slavery.
But that shouldn't be a surprise to you. You're the ones who published the story. What, yesterday? The U.S. ally who allows for women who puts women in prison when they've been raped, and the kafala. When you're talking about the United Arab Emirates, we have a hit. I mean, the fact that Saudi Arabia and the UAE are our allies, and the fact that we have been allies with dictators forever. I mean, we gave Hussein the chemical weapons when he was fighting Iran. It's
Exactly, and we have Ali Salam on the call now too, and we also have another caller from the 972. But we have Ali on the phone, and he is organizing a protest against another war, which is unsurprisingly, I guess you could say, another dictatorship that we're backing, and we're letting Saudi Arabia take the heat on this one, but. Yemen is run by a dictator. Well, at least it was run by a dictatorship until there was basically a revolution in Yemen, and they kicked the dictatorship out. The guy that run the show had to flee over to Saudi Arabia, and now the U.S. is basically backing a very, very horrendous bombing campaign in Yemen.
That's right.
And we have Ali Salam on the phone to talk about what's going on out.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, Ali, how you doing, man?
Yeah, Ali.
I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear from you.
I thought he was
You
saying
too.
Elisa Lam for a second. I'm sorry.
How come? I want to know how come. Before you talk, I want to know why you're not mayor. What's up with that?
Money.
I mean,
That's
I was
exactly what you guys
kidding.
are talking about. Citizens United, all this kind of stuff. The soccer mom, blonde, super Republican lady. She won because she had the most money.
Yeah, Ali, you ran for mayor of a local city here in San Diego County, and I was there to support you. I live streamed one of the debates, and you killed it.
Yeah.
In the debate, man, you told the sheriff there was a sheriff that was running, I believe it was, and you told him to his face that he was treasonous, and that was. And so you got on the local news station, and you were able to pull off some Malcolm X and some Bill Hicks quotes on live.
Not only a Bill Hicks
I saw
quote.
that as well. Absolutely.
A puppet
But
show.
I don't understand why you weren't elected. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh well, I'll tell you what. He had the best social media presence
Yeah.
of anyone in San Diego County. Not just the small city he was running in. Out of anyone in the whole county, we did a story on him, and it got like almost 1 million views, which we covered when he was on the mainstream media and did all that awesome stuff. But anyway, man, this whole thing in Yemen is absolutely horrendous. They had bombed 2 hospitals. It was a couple of weeks ago. Within 10 days, not hospitals. Sorry. Within 10 days, Saudi Arabia had bombed 2 weddings. Killed over 100 people at weddings in Yemen, and then just yesterday they bombed a Doctors Without Borders hospital,
Another
which
one.
of course the U.S. had done about a week and a half ago, which we covered 2 weeks ago exactly. 2 the Saturday before last. It happened, and the U.S. is backing this logistically. We're supplying surveillance, we're supplying logistics, we're supplying a lot of material support for this war, and really it is a civil war, and it's a uprising, and so many times, just like right now in Syria, where we're like saying like, hey, this dictator has to go. He's not popular with his people. Assad is a bad guy and all that stuff. And, of course, the anti-media is on the Assad payroll, according to the Star Tribune. So, we can say this kind of thing. But
am I getting a check in November from Assad? I mean, doesn't he do the gold standard? Shit.
Yeah,
I need to budget that.
So, it's so hypocritical because right now it's like, oh, Assad is a dictator that has to go. Saddam Hussein was a dictator that had to go.
Saudi Arabia.
The Taliban, the ISIS.
The Saudis are an okay dictatorship. We're going to maintain their power. The United Arab Emirates, they women get raped. They throw them in prison. They're a dictatorship. We're going to allow that.
Don't forget Bahrain.
But Gaddafi, we can't let Gaddafi do anything bad. That's a bad dictator.
So the way it is, it's not about.
Let's just bomb the world and make it a complete desert and vast hole and no water and no food. And then, you know what? The U.S. will be happy.
Yeah.
Well, at least we won't have the TPP if we do that, though. Think of the bright side.
So the same exact thing's going on in Yemen. It's a horrible dictatorship, and we are backing them up as much as we possibly can.
Exactly.
And Ali is putting together an awesome event, an anti-war. We're trying to reignite the anti-war movement here, dude. And Ali is organizing a national event to oppose this war in Syria and U.S. intervention and the Saudi intervention, all that stuff. Ali, tell us a little bit about this event.
So if everybody wants to go over to Facebook, go to facebook.com/Stop War on Yemen Action, Stop War on Yemen Action, or just search National Movement for Justice for Saudi War Crimes Against Yemen. So tomorrow is the Twitter storm. Tomorrow you want to jump on Twitter. If you actually go to the Facebook page, you go to the events tab.
I'm on there now, dude.
There's a event page for the Twitter storm. The hashtag is No War on Yemen, and there's also a thunderclap, and it automatically tweets out or Facebooks out a pre-authored tweet or a Facebook post that has links to the event pages. So next week, from November 1st through November 6th, you're going to want to call your congressman, even if they may be completely stubborn, even if they're completely corrupt. And I'm with a lot of people on giving up on the political process, but it's always good to nag them and to make them feel like they don't live in a vacuum, that the people are rising up and we are waking up. So it can't hurt just to call them and let them know that we care about this issue, because unfortunately there's a lot of silence on this issue.
Yeah, dude, and
I've already liked the page. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about
there, and I've already liked the damn page.
Like, oh, this is old news. We already know about this stuff, because we all know the people that listen to the anti-media radio, the people that follow our page and our website are already mostly anti-war people that understand that all these wars going on overseas is about corporate interests, geopolitics, and punishing other countries while uplifting others like Saudi Arabia and the dictatorship of Yemen and all that stuff. But I want to make a point here, man, because these kind of movements work. I mean, back in 2013, we had the No War with Syria movement, and it stopped them from directly overthrowing the government of Syria.
Yeah,
now,
right on.
Do you see, obviously now the U.S. is bombing in Syria, but they've abandoned that whole, let's go ahead and just overthrow Assad theory, and now they're just supporting quote unquote moderate rebels, which many people would argue are actually terrorists and
Al Qaeda, Al Nusra.
Of course they are. They're Al Qaeda and
Al Nusra
Taliban
Front, we are openly supporting Al Nusra Front in Syria, which is a known Al Qaeda affiliate terrorist group, and so they found their backdoor in, but. I think that people are really aware now, and it's really resonating with people, and that's exactly why the Star Tribune put that hit piece out on the anti-media and on Mint Press News last night.
Really?
It's because our message is having an effect. This anti-imperialist, anti-intervention message is actually resonating with a lot of people out there.
Well,
the movement worked, and I think this event to get us out of this intervention in the Yemeni civil war can work, man.
Yeah, so So, of course, the next week during the weekday is the lobby week. Make sure you call your congressman, your senator, and if you can, schedule a meeting and bring friends, because when they feel the power of the people, they get scared. Even the most craziest, most corrupt people, they care about public PR because they are so egocentric. So that's November 1st through 6th. November 7th is National Protest Day. So you're going to want to try to organize a local protest out of the most relevant place you can protest. That's closest that would affect this policy. So we've already set up 2 protests. The rest are up to you. This is a grassroots movement. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. I can't do everything. It's up to people to take it upon themselves to have initiative to organize. So there's 2 protests at the Saudi embassies in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., November 7th at 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, PST, Washington, D.C. Eastern time. So we're going to be at the embassies in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. And like Nick said, the United States is, and this is the kind of call, the main goal is to end U.S. support of Saudi and Israeli war crimes, because Israel is also in the Saudi coalition against Yemen. The United States is supplying cluster bombs, which is banned by many countries, but not all. It's not a completely banned weapon, but it does cause a lot of casualties.
But Ali, that doesn't make sense, because we're so against the barrel bombing of that Assad is using. Right? Assad, and I'm not trying to make excuses here, but
yeah, of course,
Assad is using barrel bombs, and those are horrible. But
when Saudi
somehow it's okay that we support a dictatorship and that we supply them with cluster bombs to use to bomb weddings and shit in Yemen. I mean, and Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah, exactly. Doctors Without Borders is the most recent one.
Yeah, there is a major thing that I think that people are kind of forgetting as well, is that the Law of War manual was recently finally edited and updated for, the Department of Defense. And what was brought about is that journalists are now literally on par with ISIS in terms of being able to be targets. And then you have things like, I looked at the actual document, and you have cluster bombs and depleted uranium and all these various
and then a press badge is on the end of it. Yeah, with microphone.
That are now legal by the Pentagon, which were not before, and there are things that they just snuck in that are supposed to be internationally illegal, and suddenly, we can do what we want.
Luckily, it happened under Obama, so it's like, okay.
Well, but see, that's an important distinction about this happening over Obama.
Boy, I didn't know it was Obama. It's all good now.
Hey, I like
that's an important thing to the anti-war movement, because Ali mentioned something, and you did too, Nick, on how we stopped the Syria situation. But look where we are now, because we know. I mean, I was born and raised in New York City, and I come from people who were anti-war from way back in Vietnam War. Okay, and that all came from the progressives for years.
Yeah.
And now the progressives are apathetic to Obama, and because they don't oppose him. The first, when McCain and them were pushing and talking about, no, we want to go to war, fine. But now you don't see it as much from the left, for example, on the anti-war stance, because they don't go. Look at the way the left has ostracized Jeremy Scahill, for example, in his Truth. When he questions we are in 120 plus military actions right now in the world, and we are not protesting President Obama.
Jeremy Scahill, I wanted to give some background on how Yemen came about, and I like that you mentioned the 2-party system, because there is no single candidate from the 2 parties that supports ending both foreign aid to Israel and foreign aid to Saudi Arabia. Even Bernie Sanders supports Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
I'd like to bring. I want to bring the co-host DB in on this, because I'd like to maybe go down the rabbit hole a little bit with Ali and Bobby, and
I could go there for you if you want.
and DB, I'd like to get you in on this, man, because usually your perspective on this is usually spot on. First of all, do you have a question for them, or can I just like to throw DB into the discussion sometimes, because I think his perspective is invaluable.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the question here?
There is no question. Just go. Just talk.
Oh man, dude, you guys all
He's still thinking about the drone, dude. He's still on the drone stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope we could just end with that whole drone thing.
Yeah, maybe I'll start with background on the war on Yemen and talk about, because you're talking about Now it's like, United States backs good dictators versus bad dictators. This is not about dictatorship. This is not about democracy. This is about hegemony.
Yes.
We mentioned Jeremy Scahill. I saw the movie Dirty Wars based off his book. The United States was having drone strikes over Yemen previously before the Saudi bombing campaign. So Yemen has been going through hell for years.
Right.
Teenagers dying all the time. And basically the previous president was just allowing Obama to get away with it. He was even taking the credit for these drone strikes to make Obama seem less evil. In the documentary, there was a Yemeni journalist who discovered that it wasn't a drone bomb, it was like a naval bomb that killed a village full of innocent people. He discovered that the canister for the leftover of the bomb had "Made in USA" on it. The Yemen threw him in jail. He was about to be released. Yep. Obama called up the president, kept him in jail.
And something that is even just literally because a lot of people are just so desensitized to there's these adult Muslim people over there and they're having a tough time. Big deal. I want to bring something up that a lot of people don't even know. The majority of children in Yemen have PTSD because of all these drone strikes and because of all the violence going on over it. The majority, we're talking about over 70% of the children, over 70% of Yemeni children already have PTSD because of the drone strikes.
And if they grow up hating the United States, they'll just call them radical extremists, and we should bomb them some more.
Yeah, once they're over 15 and they get killed in a drone strike, they're automatically terrorists. You know what I mean? And this is policy.
So basically, the American media and the Saudi media are trying to say that the Houthis are a direct Iran proxy, but that's not true. Antiwar.com broke that story that they are not.
Right.
Whether you think they're good or bad, I'm not trying to endorse them or oppose them. But basically, they're a product of that distaste for the drone strikes and for the previous president. So they overthrew him, and they were having negotiations with the other powers. But then King Abdullah died. Then this King Salman guy got into power. He has amnesia. Not amnesia. Dementia. Yes.
Dementia. Right.
So he put his son or something in charge, and his son is very bloodthirsty. We saw what happened at Hajj in the pilgrimage, the mismanagement and all the deaths due to that. Due to this, they don't have a constitution. They just have complete nepotism and monarchy there. And George Galloway, the politician from Britain, said that the Saudi royals are treacherous snakes, sick hypocrites who have nothing to do with Sunni and nothing to do with Islam, period.
Right.
With the guy getting busted for drugs, the guy having, sexual relations with a man in front of all of these women, which would get him beheaded in Saudi Arabia if he wasn't part of this royal bloodline. So this conflict is obviously have to do with hegemony. An independent Yemen cannot be tolerated for OPEC and for their oil powers. So they had to. But they can't galvanize people based on oil. So what they do is they create a Sunni-Shia conflict, supposedly. So they create Saudi media, calls Iranians dogs and Shias dogs, and advocates all this murder. And when Sunnis and Shias are brothers, the Al Azhar University in Egypt considers the Shia school to be the fifth school of Sunni Islam, actually, the Jafari school. So this is all kind of what they did with this during the time of slavery. They put two African tribes against each other, divide and conquer. And so that's how people justify the bombing and the killing of innocent children, is that, as part of this people that I don't like. So within Saudi, that's with the Wahhabi movement, that's very... but the Wahhabi movement is also a cancer for Sunnis as well, as they're killing them too. So this is a complete divide and conquer ploy to justify their hegemony in the region.
So we're coming up to the end of the show here. I just want to thank Bobby Rodrigo for calling in again. Once again from the coffee party. I take liberty with my coffee. Man, we really appreciate you joining us. Ali, insightful conversation. Quickly, we only have a few seconds left. Tell us one more time about the protest.
Okay, so the protest is on November 7th. The officially organized protests are in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. at the Saudi embassies, but everywhere else in the country, it's up to you to grassroots protest in a place that's most relevant to this issue, like a federal building or your congressperson, something that would cause a movement on this issue. The week before the 7th, so November 1st through 6th, call your congressman, lobby them, and then tomorrow, October 29th, there's a Twitter storm, #NoWarOnYemen. and tag at Saudi Embassy USA. You can go to facebook.com/Stop War on Yemen Action to find out all the event pages, or search National Movement for Justice for Saudi War Crimes Against Yemen. Again, the Twitter storm is tomorrow. Sign up for the Thunderclap so you can spread the word about the event. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. Bobby, thanks again. DB, peace out. Man.
Be well. Take care.
Yo, here we go through the stereo.